All right, thank you for staying with us right here on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. My name is Esther Wachuku, and this is World News at 6. First off, the top story. Petrol tanker catches fire near Nasfat camp in Lagos, Ibadan Expressway. Also, in a very recent development, 4 died, 2 injured in oil crash. Now, Court adjourns ruling on CBEX operators bill to June 30. Federal government cancels June 12 Democracy Day parade. While in politics, Makinde Wike clash deepens as PDP crisis worsens ahead of 2025. Airpeace, in a very recent development response to Adam Soshomole, says they condemn terminal disruption, including maintaining zero tolerance on violence. Also, River Sole Administrator IBAS presents 1.48 trillion naira budget to House of Representatives. In a very recent development, Shegun Shomi blasts Peter Obi, calls him greatest disappointment. And President Tinubu speaks on Wike's possible defection to APC. Details now. Thank you for staying with us. The world news begins with this unfortunate development where panic erupted today as a petrol-laden tanker burst into flames along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway directly in front of the Nasfat camp. The tanker, which reportedly fell while in motion, caught fire shortly after tipping over, sending thick smoke into the sky and triggering panic amongst motorists and residents in the area. An ex-user exclaimed that the tanker is burning on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway just opposite Nasfat Praying Ground. It was actually early this morning. However, while the report was being filed, emergency responders at the time were yet to arrive at the scene. This incident is coming on the heels of a tanker explosion that occurred on Monday between the Oremeji and Olorin-Shogo areas of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, which also caused significant traffic disruption. Though no casualties were reported in the earlier case, the fire raged for hours before being brought under. Alice said the capsules had been deposited at the University College Hospital in Ibadan. She also disclosed that the police carried out the rescue as a crash happened close to their office. The capsules had been taken to the hospital by the police, while accident vehicles causing obstruction have been cleared off the road. Meanwhile, witnesses have called in discount as a recent development has occurred concerning a particular order given by the Federal High Court in Abuja adjourning the ruling on the bail application of 3 detained promoters of the crypto bridge exchange until June 30. Justice Emeka Inwite fixed the date after counsel for the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Fadila Yusuf, and the defense lawyers adopted their arguments for and against the bail application. On April 24, Justice Inwite authorized the EFCC to arrest and detain 6 operators of CBEX over allegations of fraud. The court granted the EFCC's ex parte motion for detention pending the conclusion of investigations and potential prosecution. Subsequently, the EFCC declared all 6 promoters wanted for their alleged involvement in an investment fraud exceeding $1 billion. Now, the suspects include Adeforowa Abiodun, Adeforowa Oluwanishola, Emmanuel Uko, Sheyi Oloyede, Aresuro Otorudo, and Chukwebuka Ehirim. In the motion expurgate dated and filed on April 23, Yusuf outlined 4 grounds for the EFCC's application, asserting the agency's statutory duty to prevent and investigate financial crimes. Now, the federal government has decided to cancel the military parade that was to commemorate the 26th Democracy Day, which is scheduled for Thursday, June 12, 2025. According to details released by the Interministerial Committee on the Democracy Day celebration, President Tinubu will deliver a nationwide address at 7 a.m. on Thursday, foregoing the traditional Democracy Day parade observed in previous years. Instead, the president will participate in a joint special session of the National Assembly at 12 noon. This joint session is anticipated to include discussions of the state of the nation, reflections on Nigeria's democratic journey, and renewed appeals for national unity and reform. Later that day, a public lecture is planned to take place at the State House Conference Center in Abuja at 4 p.m. The event will gather government officials, political leaders, and civil society stakeholders to contemplate the country's democratic path under the theme Consolidating on the Gains of Nigeria's Democratic democracy, necessity of enduring reforms. The statement urged the public to come in to tune in to the broadcast and engage in the national dialogue aimed at strengthening democratic institutions and reforms. In another development, the internal struggle for control of the People's Democratic Party has escalated into a direct standoff between Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. The duo were once close allies who now find themselves on opposing sides of the party's deepening crisis. Makinde and Wike were central figures in the now defunct G5 alliance and opposed Atiku Abubakar's 2023 presidential bid, backing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu instead. But relations have since soured, with Makinde now aligning with PDP's national leadership, while Wike leading a faction demanding sweeping changes in the party. The two camps are split over key issues, particularly the position of the party's national secretary, Senator Samuel Anyanwu, whose reinstatement has been fiercely contested. The Wike group, supported by former G5 members, including Samuel Otam, Ifeanyi Ugwayi, and Okeze Iwazu, once Anyanwu retained, citing a Supreme Court ruling. However, Makinde, along with Governors Bala Mohammed Obochi and Peter Mbah of Enugu, has rejected Anyanwu's reinstatement and is backing Sunday Ude Okoye as the preferred replacement. Their position aligns with the party's National Working Committee, which has scheduled the PDP National Executive Committee meeting for June 30 and the National Convention for August. In a move seen as an attempt to reassert influence, Wike convened a meeting of his loyalists in Abuja on Monday, notably without Makinde, to demand the party zone its 2027 presidential ticket to the south and formally recognize Anyanwu as National Secretary. The communique also challenged the legitimacy of any National Executive Committee or convention meeting not convened by Anyanwu. Wike's camp is also reportedly pushing for a postponement of the August convention, a move party insiders say is aimed at buying time to consolidate power before 2027. Now, the management of Air Peace has condemned what it described as the unruly and disruptive conduct of a prominent Nigerian politician following a scene at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos on Wednesday, June 11, 2025. The airline, in a statement posted on its X handle, accused the politician of assaulting staff and forcibly shutting down the Zulu terminal and the General Aviation Terminal after missing his scheduled flight to Abuja. According to Air Peace, the politician arrived at the Zulu Hall of the terminal at 6:10 a.m., just 20 minutes before the scheduled 6:30 a.m. departure of flight P47120 to Abuja. By that time, the airline said boarding had already closed and the flight departed as scheduled in line with its on-time departure policy. Well, there are reports that the former Edo State Governor and 7th Senator Adams Oshiomhole, in a viral video online, was spotted obstructing the Zulu terminal at the General Aviation Terminal. Air Peace stated that upon being informed of the missed flight, Adams Oshiomhole resorted to violence, physically assaulting the staff and forcefully barricading the terminal's entrance. Adams Oshiomhole went as far as sealing the entry gate and manning the access point, effectively obstructing other passengers from gaining entry into the terminal. The incident, which was captured on video and has since gone viral on social media, caused major disruptions to airport operations, affecting several other passengers scheduled for various flights. Air Peace stated that it had to activate a contingency plan, redirecting affected passengers through an alternate terminal to ensure uninterrupted travel. Reiterating its stance, the airline emphasized that no individual, regardless of their status or hierarchy, is above the rules governing aviation operations. Air Peace maintains a zero-tolerance stance on violence or any form of aggression against their staff and passengers. This was a statement that was posted on X, especially concerning the earlier incident. The airline concluded by urging all passengers to remain civil and respectful while engaging with aviation staff and processes. Now, moving on to Rivers State, the sole administrator there, Iboketa Ibas, on Tuesday laid before the House of Representatives a bold 1.48 trillion naira 2025 budget proposal. Well, the budget is aimed at restoring infrastructure, improving social services, and promoting inclusive development in the Ori state, which is currently under a state of emergency. Speaking during the budget presentation at the National Assembly in Abuja, Ibas lamented the non-cooperation of suspended state officials, which he said obstructed full and transparent fiscal planning. The proposed appropriation, which follows presidential approval and awaits Supreme Court ruling on its legality, includes a projected revenue of 1.4 trillion naira and reflects the state's strategic priorities under the Rivers State Development Plan 2017 to 2027. Ibas told the House Committee that they are grateful for the commitment. Regrettably, some state officials withheld critical information required to ensure a more complete capture of expenditures already undertaken during the first quarter of the fiscal year by the suspended administration. Ibas said that despite the challenges, the budget was revised to ratify previous spending and ensure it aligns with national appropriation standards, promising transparency and fiscal responsibility. A chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, Segun Shewumi, has expressed deep disappointment in Peter Obi, describing the 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate as his greatest disappointment ahead of the 2027 general elections. Shewumi made the remark while appearing on Arise TV's primetime, where he faulted Obi's alleged openness to joining the coalition being championed by former Vice President Atiku and other opposition figures aiming to unseat the All Progressives Congress in the next general election. Shewumi, a long-time ally of Atiku, lamented that Obi had failed to harness the momentum and goodwill he built during the 2023 elections, where he came third with over 6 million votes and massive youth support. Let's listen to Segun Shewumi in that interview.
My greatest disappointment as we're getting ready for 2027 is actually Peter. And he's my disappointment.
You mean Peter Obi?
Yes, of course.
The Labour Party candidate.
Peter Obi, that's his name.
Right.
The reason is that I had hoped in all of his seriousness, but I know how we started that thing, that Peter will understand that we can move and challenge the status quo. Not the way he's been doing it all by himself, just right now. But we could do that just to be able to take the outcome, even if it is defeat. We'll say we gave you the best push and we shattered the glass ceilings and united the country because there's no glass ceiling on top of the Southeast. But I can't.
Well, he did. He made an effort in 2023.
That was 2023. You don't know how we got there. I'm talking about the future. You make one effort and then the next thing you're doing is you're running up and down the street telling people you want to. What kind of talk is this? Are we going to go into? Well, it's his business though, and I told him many months before. Now look. If your mind is not made up by May 29 this year, what you want to do,
right?
I'm going to be more inclined to support Ashaju. And the simple reason is this. I told him, Peter, the benefits that we have done now by integrating you as someone that can be leader of the Indigo political force and in a pan-Nigerian environment, I do not think you should throw it away. But it's your call. If you want to do that, or this coalition, that, sitting down with same and thinking that you're bringing a new order.
Well, he hasn't made any definitive decision.
If you are giving him such a free pass, why the hell are you making my life hard? Have I made any statements? Thank you. I'm going to most likely, I hope and pray that magic happens within the next couple of days so that my party can at least be ready for contest. You've heard me say, you can't run a political party on an assumption that you don't even know who the secretary is. You guys may even end up having parallels. You may end up not even having candidates.
Yeah.
I can't.
I think you have a point.
I can't.
When it comes to the PDP, no question about it.
If I'm not going to do PDP, by God, I cannot do any other party apart from APC. That's
right.
Clear.
But you have to be in one party or the other.
How am I supposed to be a politician? Do you think I'm a soothsayer?
Well,
I'm not a freedom fighter. I'm a politician.
All right, that was Segun Shewumi there saying that if at all, for any reason, he has to leave the PDP, he is definitely will be joining the APC, possibly to support President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The Court of Appeal has struck out two motions filed by Senate President Godswill Akpabio seeking to appeal a federal high court judgment that restrained the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions from taking disciplinary action against Senator Natasha Akpabio. Well, The motions dated March 20 and 25, 2025, respectively, were withdrawn by Akpabio's legal team and struck out by the appellate court. The court also ordered the payment of 100,000 naira in cost to Akpoti Udwagan. The dispute stemmed from a March 10, 2025 ruling by Justice Obiora Ewatu of the Federal High Court in Abuja, which barred the Senate committee from investigating Akpoti Udwagan. The Kogi Central Senator had been summoned after a heated exchange with Senate President Akpabio on February 20, 2025. In response, Akpabio filed motions asking the appellate court to extend time for filing an appeal, grant leave to appeal the High Court's decision, stay for the proceedings on the matter. However, during the appellate hearing, Akpabio's counsel, Deborah Anyanwu, applied to withdraw the motions, while Justice Hama Barika, who led the three-member panel that included Justice Adebukola Banjoko and Okun Abang, granted the withdrawal application and struck out the motions. The panel also directed that the associated appeal be deleted from court records. Senator Natasha, through her legal team, had earlier asked the court to restrain the Senate and its ethics committee from proceeding with disciplinary actions, declaring that any action taken during the pendency of the suit is null, void, and of no effect whatsoever. She argued that the summons and disciplinary proceedings were a breach of due process and had sought a declaratory order from the court to that effect. While withdrawing the motions, no official reason was provided by the U-turn by Akpabio's legal team. The move, however, suggests a possible change in legal strategy or a signal of de-escalation amid the tense intra-parliamentary rift. You're currently listening to the World News right here on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. We'll take a very short break. When we return, we'll head into more news and obviously into the news analysis segment. To kindly stay with us. Welcome back. This is still the World News right here on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. Atiku Abubakar has reportedly dumped the PDP for coalition. While there are reports that a former member of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Yusuf, has claimed that the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is no longer a member of the People's Democratic Party. The news platform, Nigerian news platform, understands that the ex-lawmaker, while addressing Atiku's current political standing in an interview via a Monitor television program, said the 2023 presidential candidate of the PDP is currently part of ongoing coalition talks. He argued that the party must move beyond relying on individual figures to reclaim its electoral strength. He said, Atiku is out of PDP. He is in the coalition with a lot of people. Yusuf, an ally of the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, criticized the decision to zone the 2023 presidential ticket to the north. The PDP chieftain blamed Atiku and poll leadership for the party's 2023 presidential election loss. He stated, I blame Atiku for the 2023 election loss. If Atiku had not bungled the Obi relationship, if Obi had remained in PDP and he had picked Obi as vice president, he would have won the election. Obi represented the southern agitators. Nigerians were looking for something different. Yusuf also lamented the recent defection of former governor of Delta State, Ifeanyi Okowa, to the All Progressives Congress, expressing regrets that the 2023 campaign of the PDP heightened the grievances of party men. Well, I actually have joining me via the telephone this evening Barrister Fred Nzako, who is a political, national and social affairs commentator. Barrister Fred Nzako will be responding to some questions that we posed at him for the World News at 6, where we tend to look into some critical issues raised here on governance, politics, the headway for governors, ministers, as well as 2027 elections. Also, the current statement made by Segun Showunmi and the court striking out Akpabio's motion ordering the Senate President to pay Natasha 100,000 naira in first sum. Barrister Fred Nzako, good evening and thank you for joining us. How are you, sir?
Thank you. Good evening. And good evening to our dear listeners.
All right, Barrister Fred Nzako, thank you so much for joining us on the World News at 6 this evening. Barrister Fred, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, including the federal government, they have cancelled the June 12 Democracy Day parade. They decided to cancel the military parade that was to commemorate the 26th anniversary day, which is scheduled for Thursday, June 12, 2025. According to the details released by the Inter-Ministerial Committee on the Democracy Day celebration, the president will deliver a nationwide address at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, foregoing the traditional Democracy Day parade observed in previous years. He will also participate in a special joint session of the National Assembly at 12 noon. And that joint session, based on what we have heard some of the National Assembly members disclose to the press, there is a compiled documentary commemorating the president for his 2 years upholding democracy in the country and a couple of other achievements. Use the opportunity as well to reel out some encomiums. The president will maybe plausibly give some of his ministers and some of the governors who he thinks have been doing well in the past 2 years within his administration. Last year's Democracy Day, the president said that it was going to be a low-key celebration. There was nothing necessarily like the military parade and all the jubilation that comes with Democracy Day. This year, there will be no military parade. Do you think there is more to this, or do you just think that possibly because of other events to take over the day, the military parade may waste time and that's why the president decided to cancel it?
Well, I don't know what reason the government has to cancel the parade. And it's good that you ask me whether I think, because I don't know. But what I may guess is that parade involves physical exhaustion. It involves dissipation of physical energy.
Okay.
And somebody has to stand to take the salute by the military officers. Do you think that our president has such energy to stand and take such salute?
Why do you think he doesn't have that energy?
No, I don't think he has such energy.
Is it because of the fall that happened last year when he wanted to climb the truck and then he fell?
Because of so many, he's not even hiding it, that his knees, his legs are not strong enough to stand and carry his frame for that length of time that the parade will last. I mean, it's an obvious fact. Even his core supporters allude to that his leadership is not all about physical exercise, but mental exercise. The other day, Mr. Showmi went to see him and came out and said that even though he is frail, I'm quoting Mr. Showmi.
Yeah, he said he looks frail. He said he looks frail.
Even though he looks frail,
yes,
that his mental alacrity is top notch.
Yeah.
So it's not a hidden fact that Mr. President does not have such a physical capacity to stand and take such parade. So that's why there was no parade last year, there will be none this year, and there may not be any parade in 2027 when he exhausts his first term in office. And you do not see Mr. President ceding or delegating such a very strong responsibility to his vice president to go and represent him. Don't forget that he is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, and the armed forces will salute him. Rather, what they will do now is they will go and meet him and give him, pay homage to him and pay loyalty to him once again at the occasion of the Democracy Day, that the military is behind him and loyal to his government. I guess that is what will happen. So nobody should expect such a parade where that is energy sapping. We don't have a president that will be able to do that.
All right, Barrister Fred Nzako, in a very recent development, the court has asked, what's his name, Akpabio, to give Natasha 100 million naira, striking out the suit that was earlier, put aside. That's the appeal court. They struck out the suit where on Akpabio's motions and ordered the Senate president to pay Natasha 100,000 naira. Do you think that whatever allegations Natasha was making, there is a base of truth in it? Because Akpabio made a U-turn and withdrew some of the suits he filed to the court against Natasha concerning defamation and concerning the fact that she lied against him, that he wanted to kill her or murder her at some point. In a very brief reaction to this, sir.
It's obvious that the court struck out the suit based on the fact that Akpabio team had applied for the withdrawal of their suit.
Okay.
And then it's a technical thing that once the litigant, especially the plaintiff, applies for withdrawal of any suit, then the natural terminology is striking out. The court will strike it out.
Okay.
And the court will now award costs, to the defendant for the time wasted in court and all the discomfort 100,000 naira award, I feel is very small for a matter that has gone up to appeal. But whatever it is worth, important thing is the matter has been withdrawn. But I do not know whether it is the entirety of the suit.
No, it's not the entirety of the suit. It's basically about the Senate Ethics Committee banning her from attending Senate proceedings.
Between Akpabio and Natasha.
Yes.
There are some between Natasha and the Senate. And it goes all and all.
Basically between Natasha and the Senate, headed by the Senate President, basically.
Headed by the Senate President. So whatever it is worth, then whenever anyone comes up, we know what the court will say.
All right, Barrister, finally, there are talks that former presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku has left the PDP and obviously joining the coalition. There have been coalition talks, and it feels like he has left. One of the lawmakers in a particular interview recently made that statement as to the fact that the PDP, as it seems now, Atiku Abubakar has left it and obviously wants to join a coalition party. The name of the party is not yet disclosed, but there are fronts that is the ADC. We've been seeing movements and talks about it. What do you think about this? There's a deep fraction within the PDP. Wike is giving orders. Sheyi Makinde and Wike are not in close terms, and these were the persons who were allies in 2023 that factionalized the PDP, and they say that Atiku Abubakar was the cause of the rift and the problem that the PDP is suffering now. Please, very minute way, how do you describe this development?
Well, it is no longer a hidden secret that the spirit of most people in PDP have left the party. Their spirit have left. Even when you see their body, many of them that attend PDP meetings, they will literally go there to know what will happen and what others will say. But to many of them, they are no longer, their souls and their spirit are no longer with the party because the misfortune that has befallen PDP was caused by the PDP members themselves. Not only from which it has been long in coming. It's an accumulation of many years of lack of observance of due process and many years of lack of observance of internal democracy that should have happened within the party. Okay. And being the party that first provided leadership at the turn of the Fourth Republic in 1999, we expected that the party would have set the pace for deepening democratic tendencies in Nigeria. But lo and behold, the party bungled that opportunity. Even while they were bragging that they will rule Nigeria for 60 years, they collapsed at the 16th year. Now, the fortune of the party does not look good, and they are now running away from the party because they now see the party as a sinking ship.
Thank you very much, Barrister. We've run out of time. We have a program coming up. I sincerely do appreciate you giving us your insight very briefly on the World News at 6.
Many thanks.
Thank you very much. And that's a wrap on the World News at 6. My name is Esther. We'll have a program coming up. Until leave, do stay with us. The Evening Rush comes up at 7.